right. Seems like we're on. Okay, so it's going to be episode 2 of the Clay Talk Show. And just to start off, last video just covered about who I am and people who's watching for the first time. You can just go back to refer to that video. I'm a cybersecurity professional with about 6 years experience of IA, which is information assurance. And today we're just going to be talking about education, furthering education, college degrees. Is it really worth it? Because it's a lot of people here today, right? That doesn't or that does have their degrees, and a lot of people are still struggling to find their dream job or find their dream company or salary that they were expecting, that they were told they were going to get by obtaining this further education. So,
Mhm.
but before we get into that, you just want to introduce yourself, Miss Tangie here. You can just introduce yourself and tell us what you do and what your background is.
Yeah, first of all, Lee, I'd just like to say thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here today. Um, but yeah, so my name is Tangie Logan. I am an entrepreneur and truly an educator at heart. I have been in education or was in education for over 18 years. I served as a middle school teacher and an administrator. And I recently stepped away just to pursue my lifelong dreams of finding just financial freedom, freedom from just workplace and having a boss and all those things. So now I am really on a journey of educating individuals on financial freedom. And my motto for 2023 has been health and wealth. So I have also opened up a fitness studio in the Texas area. So that's my thing. So I'm all about health and wealth, right? So how do we look good? How do we keep our bodies healthy? And how do we have that residual income and creating that generational wealth for our families?
Right. So it sounds like a great transition, right? So from education to entrepreneurship. So fun fact here, Tangie was a teacher of mine. She's been doing teaching, she said now 18 years. So she used to teach me back in the day
Stop
when I was
telling
in
my age, Lee.
middle school.
Stop
But
telling my
but
age.
hey, you haven't looked like you've aged at
Well,
all.
I
So that's
appreciate
a
that.
great
I
thing. So
appreciate that.
I probably look like I've aged more than you have.
No.
Look the exact same. So, but yeah, with I think with your background in education, you're basically a perfect person to talk about, to talk with about the barrier to entry with college graduates
Hmm.
getting their first role,
Hmm.
right? So, my whole standpoint on education is I'm not a fanatic promoter of it, because what we're seeing now is that everyone's having their bachelor's or associates or master's
Hmm.
degrees, and it's a lot of people who are getting these degrees with no avail. They're getting out 80 to 100,000 plus of dollars getting these degrees,
Right.
and then they're getting them with the promises of, oh, I need this degree to go get this job to have this salary. But they get out with the degrees, and it goes on 6 months of unemployment, and then they just have to take a job because at that point they're trying to get something in their field
Hmm.
and it's not working. They always need years of experience that they don't have since they was in college, and then they're just settling for something because it's been so long of working, or been so long out of college, and now they're accepting roles that's paying maybe $30,000 or $40,000, and they just spent $100,000
Right.
getting their furthering their education. So I guess in your standpoint as being an educator, how do you feel about people in this situation getting um, constant rejections from not having experience, but also was told to go get these degrees in order to get the job.
Right. So first, let me piggyback off what you said. Yes, Lee was a student of mine, and I must say I am so proud of the things that you are doing, and your accomplishments. So I'm truly proud of you. It
Thank
makes
you.
me it makes me happy, So it kind of makes me feel, my why. Like, why do I do what I do? Is to see people like you just flourish in life. So I appreciate you, and I'm so proud of you for what you're doing. So when it comes to education, I'm going to just kind of tell you, like, when I was growing up years ago, I was told that, hey, you need to go to college, you need to get a good job, you need to get a job with benefits, right? And stay there. And so, and that's the kind of that's what I was told, and that was the premise that I was, I lived by for a long time. And then as I got older and I started to see the way the world was moving and my lifestyle, I realized that, maybe that's not what's best for everyone, right? And so, yes, education is, it's good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to college, right? Just like for me personally, I have my bachelor's, I have my master's, and then what I'm doing right now doesn't require either one of those degrees. So,
Hmm.
and I truly feel that, what I'm doing currently is it's really bringing me joy now. When I was in the classroom, that brought me joy years ago, but as my life changed and as the world changed, so did my outlook, right? But um but yes, they are it's the way the world is moving, and our kids are the young adults, they're going to school, they're paying out or getting large lump sums of loans, right? Because education is not cheap. And then they graduate and they have, like you said, 100K, over 100K in student debt, and then they get a $30,000 job, $30,000 a year job, and I feel like that's unfair. And and I can even speak for me personally. There was a time when, I was like, well, let me start looking at other jobs outside of education. And it was hard for me to find a job that wasn't in education, you know. They'll say, well, maybe you're not qualified enough. And I'm looking at myself like, I know I'm qualified to do the work. But in this thing we call corporate America, sometimes it's all about who you know, and it's unfortunate. And then you have right now, like with Indeed, you have AI who's reading our resumes, right? And so if the language isn't on the resume, the the AI bot is not going to pick it up. So
Mm.
you get put to the side. And so um and it's unfortunate, but I do believe education is necessary. I do not believe that every person needs a 4 year degree to find their passion. And for me, it's not. And for me right now, it's not even about just how much money you make. It's about finding something that you truly love and that you're passionate about, because that's what's going to bring you joy. And so I think the kids or young adults should realize that, it's not about the money. Find something that brings you joy, and go for it. And if it requires you a little bit of education, then, get the degree or get the certification that you need to pursue your dreams and goals. So, but yes, education, everyone doesn't have to go to a 4 year university in order to pursue their dreams and goals.
And this is coming from a 18-year professional in education, you all. So uh, just FYI to take notes from. But on another note of that, there are some fields, that you cannot get into without that degree, such as,
Absolutely.
doctors,
Hmm.
lawyers. So those those type of niche type of fields has no way around it, right? But
Absolutely.
I would say majority of things people go to college for is not really a necessity. So in my in my standpoint is, since I've been there now, what I would tell people who are in high school and deciding whether they want to make that move or not is just like you said, find something that you're actually wanting to do.
Mhm.
Don't First of all, do not go to college with the intent of I'm going to college to get a job because
Right.
they said it's 90% of the time it's not going to work in the way that you thought it would for the most part. So if you do decide to go to school, it's something that you want to do. It's not something that someone is talking you into.
Mhm.
You're not doing it because your mama told you to. You're not doing it because you're going for a job. You're doing it because you're actually wanting to expand your knowledge in a particular subject that you've already done your research on. That's a key point ahead of time. Do your research on the field that you are saying you're wanting to go into to prevent a lot of wasted time, effort, and money.
Yes.
Right? If you have, it's just like with any other thing. When the job interviews you, you have to interview the schools you're going to. You have to do background research on that field. You might want to research that school to see people who have graduated in that field and may want to connect with them on a social platform like LinkedIn and see what are they doing now since they got their degree in that field that you're also interested in, right? You want to see if it's actually worth your while of going and if you're really going to be interested in it. You want to get some feedback on it from people who've already been there, and that'll save some time and some heartache. Um, but on another note, it's just like you said with the applying for jobs is a it's a gatekeeper type of thing when
Mhm.
you're trying to apply for jobs and you do not have the word matching to the resume who or the job posting that says you need this bachelor's degree in whatever field, right?
Mhm.
So it is it's kind of frustrating, and we'll talk about it in another episode when I talk about recruiters and hiring practices and how everything of that side just has to change.
I agree.
It has to change. It's nothing but a lot of bottlenecks and a lot of miscommunication and a lot of unrealistic expectations. Right?
Mhm.
You want a recent college grad to have 10 years of experience with this particular skill, a degree, and all these unicorn qualifications that you know they're not going to meet, and also then offer them entry level pay. It's ridiculous, right?
Yes.
So, um, in that standpoint, for the fields that I would say they don't need a degree, like example, I'm in the IT field, and what I tell people who ask me on LinkedIn about getting their first IT role, yeah, you don't need to, you don't necessarily need um, a degree in IT or even a cert to get started. You just need foundational knowledge, and that applies to a lot of things.
Right.
When the word entry level gets thrown out there a lot as a word of it's easy, I can just do it
Mhm.
entry level, but I want people to realize that entry level is just what it is entry level into whatever organization you're applying to. That doesn't mean you don't have the foundational knowledge.
Right.
It's kind of hard to bring on someone in a IT perspective if you don't know the foundational things of how computers and technology and networking works. Just bare minimum basic bone knowledge is entry level.
Mhm.
Being fresh off the street with no type of knowledge at all, expecting them to hold your hand through the process, is where the disconnect comes in at. But a lot of these things you can learn for free. So this is why I really don't agree with the pushing of getting 80, $100,000 of debt for stuff you can learn online these days for literally $0 or 10 or a monthly $10 subscription or whatever. Something real cheap to save yourself a lot of money and probably get more knowledge than going through a lot of prerequisite courses in college that don't really apply to things,
Yeah,
right?
and another thing, just from the business standpoint, like for example, like for me, I went to school, I have my MBA, and I must say that a lot of things that I really needed to know. Being in the business world, starting my own business, being an entrepreneur, they did not teach me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go out and grind, ask questions. I had to network, sit through other seminars, and just sometimes it's just sitting down having an organic conversation with an individual who has already done the work. So a lot of things, you're right, they do not teach us in school, uh, college, some of the things that we really need to navigate, you know, what we truly want to do in life. So it's
Yeah,
it's kind of it's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
yeah. Um, a big standpoint I take with people is there's going to be basically two things that will matter when you're applying for a role, particularly. It really has nothing to do with your degree or your certifications. When they talk to you, they want to see what skill set you have. The skills are what's going to pay the bills, right?
Right.
If you're just coming into the interview and they ask you a particular question about the domain that you have just graduated in, business or IT or human resources,
Hmm.
whatever your field is, and they ask you a particular question and you don't know the answer, but oh, I got my degree. Well, that really does no, it does you no good.
Right.
The whole purpose of getting the degree was to actually know how to apply it in real life. So that's where the disconnect is at, and that's where I don't agree with uh, the, the the forcing people for college because you have to unless there's a school that's going to give you skills that you can apply hands on and use it as experience, right?
Hmm.
You can use those skills, those labs and things you get in college as experience, and if they're not teaching you how to actually use what you're being taught in the real world situation, then it's doing you no good. And another person I talked to who had graduated college is it like it can be seen as just another money grab, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
as students, we're trying to get out, just pass, get out, find a job,
Hmm.
and leave it. But you have your advisors in college who wants to give you extracurricular courses that you don't need to drag out your degree program to keep you there longer. You're spending more money at the school, and then when people find out that's what you're doing, you're just dragging and pulling their legs along, and uh, the response to that is typically not positive, right? Because as a college advisor, you should be advising me on things that I should actually be doing that's actually going to help me,
Absolutely.
not not just trying to get me to stay longer so that you can get some type of bonus or quarterly award for yourself.
Yeah.
Keeping people longer and getting more money off of students is a scam, if you ask me. But yeah, so that is my standpoint on the whole education thing, right? So you just need to be able to apply the knowledge in real world
That's
situations.
right.
You have to, because college teaches a lot of theoretical knowledge, which is good to know,
Hmm.
but it will leave your head as soon as you learn it if you're not using it.
Every day.
Like if
Yes.
you're not using it, then there's no point of learning it because it's not going to do you no good. So getting skills and knowing people. So that's where the part of networking come
Networking.
in
Yes.
and talking to people, right? And instead of just blindly applying, which I see a lot of people say they're doing, applying to 400 or 500 jobs and not getting anywhere. And it's a sad situation, but at the same time, you just got to understand what's really going on. It's a lot of layoffs happening. It's a lot of qualified individuals who are not able to find jobs, and you just got to know how to navigate around. And it's not easy, right? You got to know how to navigate the job boards instead of looking for um, particular roles, you should know your skill set. So when you're searching for jobs, search for your
Your
skill
skill
set
set, yes.
instead of
And then also,
job positions, whatever.
right. And also just, and having someone to look over your resume for you,
Mm,
who's skilled in that area to make sure that, because sometimes it's about, like you said, it's about the language and making
mm,
sure you have the right language on your resume, because sometimes you have all these skills, but you don't know how to
apply it.
how to apply it, right? You don't know what type of language should I put on my resume, because I know how to do this, right? I know how to analyze data. So like, well, how do you say that on your resume? Or, you are a very good communicator, or you have your certification, your Google certification, just things of that nature, right? So just making sure that you are using the right language on your resume, and finding someone, you don't have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars for a
Yes,
resume,
please.
because that's another thing, right? You have
Don't
all
let
of
it
the,
rip off.
yes, you have so many people out here who's like, hey, you need a job? Well, let me help you find a job. Let me help you with your resume. And then you like, okay, and you look at it, and it's like they charging $500 for you to put together a resume. Like, that's unreal. But that's their
And they,
business, right? So
yeah, that's their
that's their
business, and then
business.
they don't even know how to do it, right? A resume writer is not a one size fits all.
No, it's
You know,
not.
they have specific fields. I won't expect an HR resume writer who her background was or his background was HR or marketing or something that has nothing to do with my field, which
Hmm.
is cybersecurity. They won't know how to elaborate exactly what I do and put it on paper and make it make sense
Absolutely.
because they're not in that field.
Hmm.
So it makes no sense to pay someone that who has no idea on how to
Yeah.
even market you in the first place. So I don't pay for resume bills because resumes is just like anybody opinion. Someone's always going to have something to say about it, but there is some foundational things you can put on your resume.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Foundational format because at the end of the day, a resume is not perfect ever because somebody's always going to have something nitpicky to pick on about it. But the thing about the resume thing is being able to do the star method a lot,
Hmm.
being able to talk about metrics and how you, not the team, how you are the superstar of the team and how you made impact to the company, how you saved them so many thousands and hundreds of thousands of clients and proposals that you've created and built in relationships with stakeholders that you've solidified on your resume. You
Right.
want to be able to talk about those metrics and the end goal and the accomplishments that you've made. That is a foundational thing that you can put, and everyone will say that. So that's one thing that everybody across the board is mostly agreeing with of formatting a resume, but everything else outside of that is a lot of opinion based things that you can take
Hmm.
with a grain of salt, and just being able to have your resume in a format that is easy to read and being able to pass these AI things as you mentioned earlier with the ATS systems.
Yes.
So yeah, I have to talk to. Listen, let me tell you, I have to talk to some recruiters out there, right?
Yes.
I can't wait for that episode to where I can get a recruiter on here
Hmm.
and we talk about the ATS. They call it a myth. They say the ATS doesn't exist,
Oh,
or not in the way that we think, saying ATS does not automatically screen you. We receive every application or look at every resume. Like, let's make this make
it
sense.
does.
You
Yeah.
do not. The whole purpose of the software is to make the job that you do
Easier.
easier.
Absolutely.
That's like me
Absolutely.
saying I downloaded Google Chrome, but I don't use it to surf the internet. What's the
Right.
purpose of it?
Right. Why did you download it? Yeah, that's
So
true though, because they
yeah,
are screening the resumes.
yeah, I cannot wait to get a recruiter on here. We can discuss that in a
Hmm.
uh, in a detailed fashion of why do they project that onto people, and if that is true for some people, then you have a terrible made software and vendor and switch it out because no, you shouldn't be looking at every single person's resume that does not fit the job description, right? Because that's
Right.
the whole purpose of it. Um, but yeah, so that's the thing right there. So that's what I would tell people who are pursuing college or in college, um, actually gaining skills and connections
Mhm.
rather than automatically and being entitled to thinking that college equals job. And it really doesn't. What who you know and how you and what you know how to do in the end get you that job that you're looking for. Um, and then, like I said, another thing is just the cost of school to the salary that they want to offer
Yeah,
you.
it's very expensive, and like you said, it's the pay after you graduate from college is it's low. You know, it is.
Yeah,
You have college debt, you have bills that you have to pay, and 35 to $50,000 is just not going to cut it. So,
yeah,
but yeah, they do. I truly agree that finding, like you said, gaining those skills that you need and making connections. While if you choose to go to the a 4 year route, just building, getting the skills that you need and making those connections to ensure that after you graduate, you have solidified, the job that you want or the role that you want to take on.
okay, okay, yeah. So this is just very informative. I would think a lot of people would be able to
Yeah,
take this knowledge and hopefully use it and not just sit on it. Right?
absolutely.
Be be proactive in your job search. On LinkedIn, connecting with recruiters if they are doing their job right. I have a I'm not really good with recruiters. I'm not even gonna front to you. I I I really don't like to talk to recruiters, but in today's market, is just how it is. They're there as the entry door. So
Yeah,
I mean, if you're a
they
recruiter,
are.
then what it is. But
They're the
there's
hedge hunters, so they're out there.
I'm I'm going to have an episode of all about recruiters of the why and why nots of I don't like to deal with them. So they can be good if you get a great one. And I've seen some that are good, but it's in my situation a rare occurrence. Um, if it's possible, if you can get a referral from a direct insider
Okay.
employee
Mhm.
instead, which is what I did for my roles.
Yes.
Um, that'd that'd be much better. It skips the recruiter part of
Yeah. Kind of
that.
eliminates the middleman, kind of, a
Yeah, you
little
just
bit.
go straight to the
Go
source
straight to the
because
source if you can. Absolutely. So that's why, that networking piece, like you said, and making those connections is very important. I know for me, you know, I I kind of like shy away from things like this, Lee. But I appreciate you inviting me. But yeah, so but just building those connections and in having those positive and those organic relationships is very important. And I think your generation is very good at that, building those connections and networking. uh, when I was, when I was your age, that wasn't really a thing. We didn't have a lot of networking events and things of that nature. Like I said, it was like you go to college, you get a good job with benefits, and you stay there. So
speaking of staying
yeah, you got to
there,
stay there, right? You don't get to move around. So, and that's the thing, you don't. A lot of people, why would you leave your job? Then you have your 401k and things of that nature. You don't have that anymore. But the thing is, being an entrepreneur or leaving one job and going to another, knowing how to move your money and how to continue to put funds in different baskets in order for it to continue to grow, right? So it's okay. You don't have to stay in one job, for
mm,
your entire life. It's okay to move around. And
Yeah.
and I don't think we are made to just do one thing. I truly believe that we all have different phases of our lives, and and we're just going through these different phases, and when your time is up, your time is up. It's just time to do something else. And some people, I mean, that's just the way I move. Everybody don't move the same way, and I get that.
Mhm.
But for me, that's just my belief. I believe that everything, there's a time for everything. And just like people, people are put in your lives for different reasons, right? It's not meant for them to be there for a lifetime. And so they come and go. And so a job can be just the same. So
Yeah.
just knowing when the time is up, it's okay. You know, it's okay. If you've built that solid foundation, you have those skill set that you need, you've made those connections, you'll find something else. I truly believe that.
Yeah. And yeah, speaking of the staying there part, um, it's going to be covered on another episode of why are recruiters or just people that you may know in general pressing the issue of this terminology job hopping. Why do you leave this job to this
Mhm.
next job in a
Mhm.
year? Well, because I'm not trying to do the same thing forever. I'm not. I had my last company CTO told me that we actually was on the same page. He said if I see someone doing a role more than 2 years, I'm looking at them as someone who doesn't want to grow and move or excel themselves in their career, right? So
Absolutely.
just so trying to preach to people to not move or not promote themselves or not encourage them to take on another task or take on another role that they may be interested in is something I definitely don't agree with. And I wish people would stop trying to press the issue of job hopping or questioning people when you do your screening calls of,
Mhm.
well, why did you leave this company in 8 months? And why did you leave that in a year? And yeah, I left because I needed something new. I needed something different. I wanted to learn
Right.
something. And that's why I'm at this place. And this is why I'm applying to this place.
Mhm.
It's not, it shouldn't be a red flag, no matter how they want to word it.
Right.
And they're watching. I definitely would want to talk about it if you disagree, because
Mhm.
we can hop right on here. We can talk about it because there's nothing wrong with trying to upskill yourself. As people see now, these jobs don't care about you. It's just a business. There's thousands upon thousands of people who've been laid off after 15 years of dedication to their company, 20 years. They don't know what else to do because they've been in this role 15, 20 years, and now they're panicking
Mhm.
because now bills don't stop. The company said they don't need their role anymore. And now it's thousands of other people who are also getting laid off with different companies. So
Mhm.
now it's an oversaturated job market with a limited opportunity to actually get what you deserve as or your last salary was. So now you're just on the outside looking in, wondering where did you go wrong. So
Yes.
I always tell people don't ever stop upskilling or ever stop networking just because you found the role. Things like this are uh, things like this are unpredictable, so you have to be
You
ready
have to
for
be
it.
prepared. And you
You got to be
do.
ready for it. And that's I'm glad um, you got skills on how to have money in different pots and
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur and knowing how to make your money, make the money make it for you instead of you having to make it, right. So
Absolutely.
that's a skill that a lot of people should have.
Yeah.
So yeah, if people want to uh, get with you on your services, I definitely leave Tangie's links in the description below. You all can connect with her, ask her questions about how to be a successful entrepreneur because that's definitely what she does, and she's good at what she does. So yeah,
All right. Thanks.
yeah. So um, episode 3, we're gonna have someone else. We're gonna talk about. possibly the HR department. We're going to move over into things that should be changed and why they should be changed, hiring practices, discrimination, DEI, recruiting, etc. And I have one of my HR professionals on here. So we'll do that on the next episode of Clay Talks. This is episode 2.
All right.